Hello everyone, and welcome to Yoshi 1 Kenobi's Dragon Tribal deck. In this deck, we aim to play as many dragons as humanly possible, as well as Reflections of Littjara, which will copy the dragons that we put on the battlefield. And it copies the spell, not as an enter the battlefield, but really as you cast the spell, which means if your dragon gets countered, you still get the copy. Very important. So if you do get a Reflections of Littjara in play, and you're not dead on board to some aggressive strategy, then you're in a very difficult position to stop, and a very good position to win. So let's see which dragons we have to play in this deck. Terror of the Peaks, if you get extra copies, it's already a devastating card that's a must remove, but if you get 2 for the price of 1, first of all you get a trigger immediately, and then your opponent needs to remove the 2 of them because they're deadly, especially when you're summoning double creatures every turn. If you get 3 of them, well, things just get absolutely crazy. Well, and by crazy, I mean your opponent's pretty much dead. Second very awesome dragon, Goldspan Dragon. You get 1, you get a discount. You have Reflections of Littjara, you basically just paid 1 red mana to have 8 power of flying haste creatures on the battlefield. That's divided on 2 creatures. Fantastic value. Ridiculous. Basically, you get to play... If you have Reflections of Littjara, Goldspan Dragon, and another dragon, you get to play 2 Goldspan Dragon, attack for 8, then play 2 copies of your other dragon. And you have this ridiculous board with 4 dragons out of nowhere on turn 6. It's very powerful. Then we have the Opportunistic Dragon, which allows you to nullify a human or artifact in opponent control. And with mono white being such an important part of the metagame, nullifying a human is quite relevant. Also artifacts, well... there's pretty good artifacts. Great Henge, Embercleave, even the Leyline Tyrant sword. All powerful things that you get to just nullify with the Opportunistic Dragon. Then we have Leyline Tyrant, a 4/4/4/4 with some decent abilities. It's pretty good. It's a dragon, so we're playing 4 copies of it. Then we're playing 3 Gadraks, a defensive dragon that we're mostly playing to round up our curve, and because it's still a dragon. Also, it makes treasures, which help us to ramp. The same goes true with Magda. It makes treasures, which helps us to ramp. Also, there are 2 creatures that your opponent typically will spend their removal spells on, which will allow you to free the way for the bigger, badder dragons. And then, to round up the deck, we're playing 4 Fire Prophecies and 4 Bonecrusher Giant as removal and to smooth out our curve. Now, we're playing Fire Prophecy instead of Scorching Dragonfire, mostly for the Gadrak triggers on to generate these treasure tokens. Because I know Scorching Dragonfire would be more on team and it's more powerful on its own. Also, we're playing a lot of 5-drops, so the ability to cycle 1 to dig for a land, quite relevant. In terms of our lands, we're playing Snowlands to summon some Faceless Havens, which are also dragons, because why not? And also the cards are mostly mono-red, except with the exception of Reflections of Littjara, so we can afford to play mostly Snowlands. Now, let's see this deck in action with some games, and one of the hardest things with this deck, I expected was going to be to win games because the curve's really high. But that was not the case. The deck actually functioned surprisingly well. The hardest thing was to decide in which order to play the games, because the deck put up so much awesomeness in different ways that I didn't know what to show you guys first. So I do encourage you to watch the games through. They're all really awesome. Also, I pretty much only put up awesome games. Wink wink, nudge nudge. So let's see them in action with some games. We are playing Dragons Tribal on MTG Arena Standard. Our opponent, Samuel Turleton. Is going to get a beating from dragons, and tons of them. So this is fairly bad, because we don't have any play before turn 5. And right now it's just Reflections of Littjara. But odds are we're going to draw at least a mountain, and potentially something to play a little earlier. Opponent's on mulligan, which is positive for us. Also, we're on the play. I would not keep this on the draw. And I really dislike going down the 6 cards on the play. Opponent's playing mono white. Alright, we'll get a scry something. too slow, right? Reflections of Littjara into Terror of the Peaks, Terror of the Peaks. I'm gonna keep it. Because if it does happen, it's gonna be epic. They do need mono white to stumble a little bit. Pyro Heroes. Yep, that's the stumbling I'm talking about. Sacrifice a creature, search for something that shares a creature type. Convert mana cost to 1 or more. Tabaraks. Oh, Cleric's deck. Well, that one's a tree drop, so we're going to bolt the tree drop. And pass the turn back. And that's why Tabaraks does not see play. Because it's really 2-2 for 3, which gets stomped. Fabled Passage. See, we did draw the red source, and we drew the early interaction. Well, early enough. And now we are rewarded with Reflections of Littjara, followed by Terror of the Peaks, Terror of the Peaks, Terror of the Peaks, Terror of the Peaks. Which, as foretold, is going to be epic. Hopefully. The opponent's going to get a revive with Tabaraks if we kill Aura. Or I could just point everything to our opponent's face. It is a ton of Terror of the Peaks. Oh yeah, Speaker of the Heavens. Oh, now we're pointing it at the Angel. Opponent sacks the Speaker of the Heavens. Gets a Skyclave Cleric. The interaction with the Pyre of Heroes and the Hierophant is quite interesting. You know what else is interesting? Terror of the Peaks. Although, yeah, let's kill the 4/4 Angel with the second Terror of the Peaks, and then next turn we get Goldspan Dragon, Terror of the Peaks, Terror of the Peaks. Which is about as explosive as it gets. Because for every Terror of the Peaks that enters the battlefield, the other two will trigger. It's actually quite disgusting. Our opponent is doing some fun stuff here. And we're just going to dragon fire them down to cinders. Cinders and ashes. Fire Heroes, sacrificing the 2-drop, which means you get to revive. That's annoying. Forcing you to sacrifice a dragon, getting Skyclave Relic back. Oh yeah, because that thing's a cleric that died, so you get the 2-drop. That's real nice. I must say, I really like that deck. It seems like a lot of fun. Alright, so we're going double Goldspan Dragon. We get to kill the 4/4. Second Goldspan Dragon. Well, Aura deals a ton of damage, but I think we can just go face now. Get some treasures. And now we win the game. Because that's a lot of Terrors of the Peaks. And that's how Burn should play. Super Dragon Fireball Burn. We are playing Dragon's Tribal on MTG Arena Standard against La Erte Amaral. Opponent's playing a Lurrus. So cycling or rogues. Otherwise the hand looks good. I think we can keep this. If we manage to land a Reflection of Littjara. We do need more lands though. Let's cry it out to the bottom. One of our mighty dragons. Rogues it is for our opponent. Alright. Let the games begin. Opponent plays a Crab of Doom, which will be quite hard for us to kill. If only this crab was a human, then we could steal it with the Opportunistic Dragon. Yeah, I know what I just said. Actually, Rogues plays a fair bit of humans. So Opportunistic Dragon should be relevant. I do want to cast that Bonecrusher Giant on my turn, so let's ping you. Play Haven, play Bonecrusher Giant while the shields are down. Another Fabled Passage. When an opponent mills like that with 2 Fabled Passages, does that make our opponent a millionaire? Alright. Snow-covered mountain's pretty good. I'll start by attacking with the Bonecrusher Giant, see what kind of tricks await. Traps and tricks. And a Heartless Act, which will ping you for 2. That's okay, we'll trade our 4-3 for this 4-4 flyer, which can accumulate mana. Opponent plays a tap land, mills us. Just 1 Ruined Crab's not going to do the trick. We'll either run out of threats or overrun our opponent. Opponent drowns the Leyline Tyrant. We get to deal 0 to you. Thieves Guild Enforcer enters the battlefield. Yes, I will pay 0 to target that Thieves Guild Enforcer. Alright. Let's steal the Thieves Guild Enforcer. Because we can. Opponent into the stories to draw cards, which is our opportunity to land Reflections of Littjara. All we need is an untapped land. Come on, untapped land. You can do it, deck. Opponent is pondering, not doing anything. Untapped land. Alright. We have our Reflections of Littjara. On Dragon, of course. Also take the 3 points of damage. And we'll pass the turn back. Come on, no Brazen Borrower. Burn Crab's also fairly bad. Kill spell on the dragon. Thief Guild Enforcer is active yet again. But that is okay. It's going to be hard to counter 2 Goldspan Dragons. Reflections of Littjara will bypass your counter magic. Well, you can still counter the original. But I still get a dragon, which will get me a treasure, which will allow me to stomp on that Thieves Guild Enforcer. That's what I call damage. Can you stop my unending horde of dragons? And by unending horde, I really just mean that last Goldspan Dragon that we have in hand. Opponent keeps a card on top, never a good thing. Looks at Lurrus, that's pretty positive. Drowns the Goldspan Dragon, not good. I'm really overthinking this, like way too much. Opponent has 3 mana left. Leyline Tyrant. Alright, well, we'll go Goldspan. Goldspan, Goldspan. You need something. Disdainful Stroke stops one of them, but only one. 4 in the air. And now, Leyline Tyrant, Leyline Tyrant. How many dragons can you stop? And can you mill us? 20? 20 is going to be hard. Which is good for us, because we don't want to be milled. Also, if we get to untap, then we'll have enough red sources to make a Leyline Tyrant dying lethal. I'm going to assume that there's some kind of emergency that's making you rope me, and you're not just angry that you lost to Dragon's Tribal and Reflections of Littjara with a high tier deck. Who's to say that Dragon's not the next high tier deck? It's probably not next high tier deck. But that doesn't make it less fun. Float a red source. Draw card. Play the mountain. Attack you with everything. Oh yes, opponent was timing out. Forgot about that. Alright, attacking you with everything. The opponent really is roping. There was no timer on this. Alright, the dragons are coming. They're big, they're fiery, but they're apparently fairly slow. Or the opponent's using some kind of time magic to slow down everything. Alright, moving to damage stab. Opponent flashes in the Soaring Thought Thief. Opponent flashes in the second Soaring Thought Thief. And opponent dies. And that's how you beat rogues, with a ton of dragons and the Reflections of Littjara. We are playing Dragon's Tribal on MTG Arena Standard against Pierre V666. That's a lot of versions of Pierre. We'll keep this. We have dragons, we have a Scorching Dragon Fire, so we're good to go. And we'll feign being mono red, giving our opponent the least amount of information possible. Player blue source, setting up a Reflection of Littjara. So the opponent seems to be on white weenies. Opening up a little slow with a pair of Castle Arvindales. The Alcide of Life's Bounty is fine, as we'll play Gadrak. The Crown-Scourge. What are you going to do against our 5/4 flying that can't attack? And we'll start spawning treasure tokens. Opponent plays a puppy. Opponent plays a Speaker of the Heavens. As much as I like Terror of the Peaks, I'd rather have a land. At the beginning of your end step. So you want to kill the Selfless Savior now. So you have that treasure token in bank. Alright. Keep it rolling. Luminarch Aspirant. I get to play Riverglide Pathway and we get our Reflections of Littjara. Double dragon means double success. And with the Terror of the Peaks in hand, this is gonna be devastating for our opponent. Gadrak triggers, doing absolutely nothing. But that's okay. If we want to, we get to play Goldspan Dragon, get a token, get a copy, Attack with 2 Goldspan Dragon, make 2 treasures. We have 6. We get to play a pair of Opportunistic Dragons. Why are you attacking with the Outside of Life's Bounty? This feels like a terrible choice. Yeah, let's go with the Dragon Swarm. Goldspan Dragon, Reflection triggers. Make another Goldspan Dragon. Attack you with both Goldspan Dragons. Make treasures. Hit you. Steal your stuff. Opportunistic Dragon, you have 2 humans in play. Thank you very much. What you gonna do, Mono White? Is the Dragon's tribe a little too hot for you? And that's how it's done with Reflection of Littjara calling dragons. We are playing dragons on MTG Arena Standard against Larson LE. Dragons Tribal with Littjara. I think we keep this? Not exactly sure why, I just have the feeling that we should keep this. Split Riverglide Pathway first. Fire Prophecy, trade an Opportunistic Dragon or a Leyline Tyrant for hopefully a land. And if we have Gadrak in play, we can put a treasure. Puts on Ghoul or Temur. Gonna have to deal with that Edgewall Innkeeper. That means the opponent's playing some amount of humans. Let's throw away Gadrak. Nah, Tyrant. I'm not sure whether throwing away Gadrak or the Tyrant was the good move. Shield Breaker. That is alright. So we will play Gadrak, the Crown-Scourge. The Flying Lovestruck Beast. That has a much more restrictive condition for attacking. But that's okay. We can produce treasures with our Goldspan Dragon and eventually attack with Gadrak. Also, that thing's a human. So we did well keeping that Opportunistic Dragon. One pings us with a Bonecrusher Giant, and it's stonewalled by Gadrak. We'll play the Faceless Haven, play the Opportunistic Dragon, and steal the Emberet Shieldbreaker. And now it loses all abilities, can't attack and block. So it's basically exile, but it's still on battlefield. Temple of Epiphany. Mountain. No, I don't want a mountain. That thing is legendary. I could play another one, sack Gadrak to make a treasure token. Probably not worth it. I'd just swing for 4. Fast turn. What are you going to do, opponent? Cast a 5-mana Goldspan Dragon. Alright. Battle of the Dragons has begun. You may have a treasure, and I will trade my Gadrak for your Goldspan. Seems like a pretty good trade for us. You do get a treasure, and you will get a bell out of it. Opponent number cleaves, that's 10-11 next turn. So you shouldn't be too afraid of that. We can go ahead and play another Goldspan Dragon. To combat, swing for 8 in disguise. And for good defensive measures, we'll play Gadrak. pass the turn back. Our horde of flying dragons is just pummeling this cruel opponent. And you don't seem to have very many things that block big flyers. Other than big flyers of your own. No, Bonecrusher Giant can attack. That's alright. Snow-covered mountain means we get to activate the Faceless Haven. And then we have 3 attackers, which forces Goldspan to trade, and the opponent resigns. Too many dragons, too fast, and you just couldn't beat it, Gruel. We are playing Dragon's Tribal on MTG Arena Standard against Matty Danger. Yeah, I'll keep this. That's a different hand. Opponent seems to be playing rogues or recycling or mono black Lyrisoras. Probably rogues. Almost definitely rogues now. And it's crap time. Right, the opponent is milling us, as rogues like to do. Not much we can do about it. So I think turn 2 we go Magda. Try to force the opponent to cast a removal spell, or otherwise feel the wraths of the Reflections of Littjara. Alright, you now have your critical threshold for rogues. Drown, I'd like to see that. I don't really like to see that, but I'd rather you kill a Magda with a Drown than you counter my Reflections of Littjara. Which are pretty good against rogues. If we get to resolve it. Opponent keeps on using all their Drowns. Alright, well if that's how you're going to play it, I'm gonna Fire Prophecy the Rune Crab, and my hand is perfect. Come on, buy that Lyris. Main phase Soaring Thought Thief. Are you mad? Do not main phase Soaring Thought Thief. Well, I guess it's Matty Danger, living dangerously. Well, with that hand, we're going to play another Reflections of Littjara. Hopefully it goes through. Oh man, this deck is so much fun. I mean, look at this. That's 9 Terrors of the Peaks. It's ridiculous. 9 pretty much uncounterable Terror of the Peaks that I can cast 3 of for 5 mana. Beat that, rogues. Copy, copy. Yeah, you can into the story if you like. Ping that. Ah, the opponent didn't live to see the other Terrors of the Peaks. I guess 3 was good enough. I hope that you've enjoyed this video. Don't forget to subscribe. It won't cost you any mana, and it greatly helps to support this channel and keep the awesome videos coming. Until next time, may the fun be with you.